Hey guys, tonight we're traveling back to ancient Egypt, but forget everything you know about pyramids and mummies. Picture this instead. You're strolling through a bustling market in Thebes, and the air isn't thick with incense or spices, but with the crisp green scent of lettuce. Not just any lettuce, sacred perfumed lettuce piled high in baskets like some bizarre salad bar for the gods. You'd probably gag at the idea of rubbing lettuce juice on your wrists as cologne, but trust me, in 1500 BCE, you'd be the uncool one showing up to a party smelling like plain old sand. And here's the kicker. This wasn't just about smelling. Fresh. Lettuce was the Viagra of the Nile, linked to fertility gods and, bedroom rituals. Cue the historians blushing. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from. I'm obsessed with imagining you guys in pajamas in Tokyo or sipping midnight coffee in Berlin. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The first time you'd see an Egyptian priest spritzing lettuce essence like it's Chanel No. 5, you'd assume the desert heat finally broke them. But no, this was science. Ancient papyri describe lettuce as the plant of 1,000 virtues, and not just because it made a great side dish. The milky sap in Egyptian lettuce, a wild, spiky ancestor of our wimpy supermarket kind, released a narcotic-like scent when bruised. Imagine popping a lettuce leaf and getting a whiff of something between fresh-cut grass and opium. Yeah, the historians are still arguing about whether priests were low-key getting high during temple ceremonies. And then there's Min, the god of, vigor. Artwork shows him holding a lettuce stalk like a microphone at a fertility concert, while worshippers piled lettuce at his feet like backstage gifts. The connection. Lettuce sap looks suspiciously like other bodily fluids. I'll let you Google that one. But here's the twist. The plant also symbolized resurrection because it regrows after cutting. So it's sexy and profound, the ultimate multitasker. You're probably squirming at the idea of Pharaoh Ramses II's perfume being 90% lettuce juice. But think about it. In a land where water was gold, crisp, watery greens were the ultimate flex. Wealthy Egyptians even tucked lettuce into their tombs for the afterlife, because nothing says eternal luxury like a salad that never wilts. You're standing in the inner sanctum of Min's temple now, where the air is thick with the musky, sweet aroma of bruised lettuce leaves. The walls around you pulse with colorful frescoes, scenes of bare-chested priests offering armfuls of lettuce to a god who looks like he works out twice a day. Min isn't just any deity. He's the OG fertility icon, often depicted with an, permanent state of enthusiasm. And guess what his sacred plant was? That's right, lettuce. Not roses, not wine, but crispy greens. Here's the wild part, Egyptian. Lettuce wasn't the tender butterhead you'd find in a Caesar salad today. It was Lactuca cereola, a spiky bitter weed with psychoactive sap. When crushed, the leaves oozed a milky white latex that smelled faintly narcotic. Some scholars think this sap was the real reason lettuce got linked to Min's energetic reputation. Ancient texts are suspiciously vague about whether temple rituals involved medicinal lettuce tonics. Now picture this ritual. During harvest festivals, priests would process lettuce stalks like sacred bartenders, squeezing the sap into ceremonial bowls, mixing it with palm wine, and maybe adding a sprinkle of myrrh for extra divinity points. The resulting concoction was considered both an aphrodisiac and a spiritual cleanser. One papyrus even describes pharaohs drinking it before battle to multiply their strength as the lettuce multiplies in the field. But the real comedy comes from the temple art. In one carving at Karnak, Min stands triumphantly beside a lettuce plant that's, how do I put this, suggestively taller than the human figures around it. Meanwhile, a nearby inscription jokes that the god's harvest depends on the women of the village dancing for the crops. The ancient Egyptians had no chill. And here's a fact that'll haunt your next salad. Lettuce was so tied to fertility that brides would wear garlands of it during weddings. Archaeologists found a bunch of wilted lettuce leaves buried with a noblewoman in Thebes. Turns out they were her bouquet for the afterlife. Imagine being a grave robber expecting gold and instead uncovering 3,000-year-old romaine. You're now in Cleopatra's private chambers, where the legendary queen is, let's be honest, probably plotting world domination while lounging on a pile of silk cushions. But forget the milk baths and pearl facials. Her real beauty secret was far more agricultural. Historical gossip, courtesy of the Roman historian Pliny, claims she drenched herself in lettuce-infused perfume before meeting Julius Caesar. And no, it wasn't some delicate floral scent. It was the equivalent of rubbing a freshly mowed lawn on your pulse points. Now, before you picture Cleopatra smelling like a grocery store salad bar, let's clarify. Egyptian perfumers were artists. They steeped lettuce sap in imported resins, blended it with cinnamon and honey, then aged it in alabaster jars until it transformed into something worthy of a queen. The result? A fragrance that supposedly smelled like rain on the Nile at dawn, according to poets, or a very enthusiastic gardener, according to Caesar's snarky aides. But here's the kicker. This perfume wasn't just about seduction. Lettuce oil was considered a political weapon. When Cleopatra gifted Caesar a vial of it, she wasn't just flirting. She was subtly reminding him of Egypt's agricultural wealth. Nothing says, "Don't invade my country," like a luxury product made from something Romans fed to their rabbits. And the Romans? They were horrified. To them, lettuce was peasant food, good only for curing hangovers or filling cheap salads. The idea of wearing it as perfume was like dousing yourself in pickle juice and calling it haute couture. One senator even wrote that Egyptian nobility perverted nature by worshipping weeds. Spoiler, he definitely tried the perfume in secret. Historians found traces of lettuce oil in a Pompeii brothel's ruins. Meanwhile, back in Egypt, the working class had their own version of lettuce perfume, a humble paste made from crushed seeds and beer. Workers slathered it on their skin to mask the smell of sweat and papyrus glue. Imagine a construction crew in 50 BCE casually smelling like a faintly alcoholic salad. The year is 1325 BCE, and you're about to witness history's weirdest coup attempt. Pharaoh Horemheb has just banned lettuce from all royal tombs, calling it the plant of treason. Why? Because his predecessor, Akhenaten, wasn't just obsessed with sun gods. He was allegedly drugged by his own priests with lettuce elixirs to keep him compliant. Here's how the conspiracy worked. Akhenaten's radical religious reforms made him enemies fast. So the priests of Amun, who missed their old power, started slipping high doses of lettuce sap into his wine. Ancient texts describe the pharaoh becoming dreamy and pliant as a young shoot after temple visits. Modern pharmacologists confirm the sap contains lactucarium, a compound with sedative effects similar to weak opium. But the plot thickens, literally. When Tutankhamun took the throne, his advisors found hidden caches of lettuce seeds in Akhenaten's abandoned palace. Forensic analysis of Tut's tomb later revealed lettuce pollen in his wine jars. Coincidence? The high priest didn't think so. He immediately had all lettuce removed from the Valley of the Kings. Archaeologists found a pit near Deir el-Bahri filled with wilted sacred lettuce, likely dumped there during the purge. Meanwhile, commoners kept worshipping lettuce in secret. Farmers buried lettuce amulets in their fields to ensure fertility, while rebel scribes drew crude cartoons of priests as walking lettuce stalks. The most brazen act? Someone left a fresh lettuce head on Horemheb's throne with a note, "The god's hunger." Spoiler that someone got turned into a mummy real fast. You're sneaking through the moonlit courtyards of Karnak Temple, where the sacred lettuce gardens grow in geometrically perfect rows. But this isn't some peaceful monk's herb patch. It's the most heavily guarded agricultural real estate in the ancient world. Why? Because these lettuce plants were considered literal vessels of the god Mindis. The security measures were insane. Celestial surveillance, each garden aligned with Sirius's rising, so priests could claim the plants drank starlight. Modern satellite imaging shows the layouts match constellations. Shift workers. Guards rotated every 3 hours to prevent lettuce theft. One worker's contract found at Deir el-Medina specifies pay deductions if the sacred sap is unaccounted. Fertility. botanical booby traps. Some walls bore warnings of curses, but the real deterrent, hidden pits of crocodiles. A Greek merchant's diary recounts seeing green-cloaked thieves being dragged into the Nile. Here's where it gets sci-fi. The high priests developed a secret lettuce hybridization program. Temple records describe moon cycle cultivation, where certain plants were only harvested during eclipses. Analysis of tomb murals suggests these special lettuces had red-veined leaves, possibly an early GMO experiment. The most bizarre discovery. A buried ledger from Amenhotep III's reign lists lettuce gifts to foreign diplomats, including 20 stalks to the Hittites to calm their warmongering, 5 milk-heavy plants to Babylon for the king's bedchamber. You're sitting in an ancient Egyptian divorce court, circa 1150 BCE, where a woman named Tamarit is slamming a clay pot of lettuce-infused wine onto the judge's table. "This is what he promised would keep our marriage fertile," she shouts, pointing at her soon-to-be ex-husband, a scribe named Pesa. The court record, preserved on ostraca shard number 1447, reveals the first documented case of love potion fraud in history. The scandal unfolded like a Nile Valley soap opera. The promise. Pesa had obtained priest-grade lettuce sap from a Memphis temple, swearing its aphrodisiac properties would rekindle their flame. His mistake. Bragging about it to the whole neighborhood. The deception. Chemical analysis of the pot's residue, done in 2021 by Cairo University, showed Pesa diluted it with cheap fenugreek. The ratio, 90% filler. The fallout. Tamarit's father, a medic, testified that proper lettuce potions should make palm trees bow, while this brew couldn't stir a sleeping cat. But here's the twist that made legal history. Their marriage contract, found in a Theban tomb, included a fertility clause, requiring annual lettuce offerings. The judge ruled Pesa violated the terms, awarding Tamarit 3 new linen dresses, a donkey lifetime supply of actual temple-grade lettuce. The verdict inspired a wave of copycat lawsuits. Archaeologists found 22 similar cases recorded at Deir el-Medina alone, including one where a wife demanded compensation because her husband's homemade lettuce perfume smelled like wet goats. Meanwhile, the temple pharmacists got rich. Their certified love potions came with hieroglyphic labels, approved by Min's priesthood. Clay seals, a money-back guarantee if the gods didn't bless your union within 3 moon cycles. The year is 145 BCE, and you're witnessing history's first recorded case of agricultural espionage. Princess Berenice of the Ptolemaic dynasty just lost her entire kingdom because of fake lettuce seeds. Here's how a salad ingredient toppled a regime. The great lettuce heist. Berenice's rival, Ptolemy VIII, paid a network of farmers to swap the royal lettuce seeds with a sterile hybrid variety. Temple records describe the aftermath. Week 1. Palace gardeners notice the sacred lettuce isn't producing its signature milky sap. Month 3. The annual festival of Min collapses when priests have no viable plants for rituals. Year's end. Drought. Hits, and without the symbolic fertility lettuce to reassure the people. Riots erupt. The forensic breakdown. Modern botanists examining residue in Berenice's abandoned seed vaults found sand fraud. 60% of lettuce seeds were actually desert plant mimics. Biological sabotage. The remaining seeds showed signs of being heated to destroy viability. Paper trail. A recovered merchant's ledger lists payments for the barren harvest. The fallout. When Ptolemy took power, his first decree was to import emergency lettuce stocks from Cyprus, but the damage was done. The scandal inspired the Egyptian phrase lettuce-hearted, meaning traitor, led to seed verification protocols, including royal wax seals, forced priests to keep backup lettuce gardens in hidden oasis. Locations. You're standing in the Roman Senate in 58 BCE, where several very pale, very distressed politicians are clutching their stomachs. The cause? A botched attempt to weaponize Egypt's sacred lettuce that backfired spectacularly. The heist gone wrong. When Roman General Aulus Gabinius invaded Egypt, he made a priority of stealing the royal treasury too. Several obelisks, Every lettuce plant from Min's temple gardens, his plan, replant them in Rome as trophies of conquest. But here's what went sideways. Climate catastrophe. Egyptian lettuce grown in Italian soil produced 300% more lactucarium, that milky, psychoactive sap. Dosage disaster. Roman chefs, unfamiliar with its potency, used it raw in salads instead of properly processing it. Senate shenanigans. Cicero's letters describe an emergency session where honorable members competed for the chamber pots, the aftermath. Medical panic. Galen wrote scrolls about lactuca fever, causing both drowsiness and urgent bowel movements. Economic impact. The lettuce black market crashed when thieves realized stolen plants caused uncontrollable digestive consequences. Cultural shift. Romans started calling ineffective laws lettuce decrees. All show no substance. It's 46 BCE, and Cleopatra is about to outmaneuver Rome with history's most delicious psyop. As Mark Antony's fleet approaches Alexandria, she doesn't prepare warships, she prepares lettuce baskets. The culinary ambush eyewitness accounts describe her strategy. First wave, gift baskets of harmless, Roman-style lettuce to Antony's officers, soaked in vinegar to mask the Egyptian strain's potency. Psychological warfare, serving the sacred lactucarium-rich variety at private dinners, calling it the salad of kings. The final move. When negotiations stalled, her servants accidentally brought out lettuce desserts. Honey cakes infused with concentrated sap, the result. Plutarch writes that Antony's delegates became strangely agreeable after meals, with one famously slurring, "Perhaps Egypt should keep its treasures." The science behind the seduction modern labs, analyzing residue from Antony's recovered wine cups found traces of lactucarium at 5x Egyptian ceremonial doses, a suspicious absence of alcohol markers, pine nut residue, now known to amplify lactucarium's effects. The Ides of March, 44 BCE. As Julius Caesar enters the Senate, his assassins have one final trick up their togas, and it's not just daggers. Historical accounts suggest they weaponized lettuce to mask their conspiracy in plain sight. The setup days. Before the assassination, dietary sabotage, Caesar's food tasters were given heavy doses of lettuce wine, causing drowsiness and slowed reflexes. The last meal, servants report Caesar ate an unusually large lettuce salad before leaving home, possibly laced with sedative herbs. The smoking gun, a recovered physician's note mentions the dictator's complaints of fogged vision, that, mourning the cover-up after the murder, Brutus famously shouted "Sic semper tyrannis," but his less quoted follow-up was "Et lactuca liberat," and lettuce liberates. The conspirators scattered lettuce leaves on Caesar's body, symbolizing cutting down a tyrant like a harvested plant. Cleopatra later claimed to have received a sealed lettuce seed pouch with the message, "The garden requires new tending." Modern forensic analysis reveals stab wounds show irregular angles, as if the attackers met less resistance than expected. Soil samples from the Senate floor contained abnormal lettuce pollen concentrations. Caesar's last written edict, interrupted mid-sentence, began, "Concerning the sacred gardens." Mark Antony stands before a roaring crowd in the Roman Forum, holding not Caesar's blood-stained toga, but a single wilted lettuce plant. With this bizarre prop, he's about to turn horticulture into revolution. The propaganda machine, Antony's genius, moves. Visual rhetoric. Displayed Caesar's assassinated lettuce, a hacked-up Egyptian variety, beside the daggers. Agricultural metaphors. They cut down Rome's strongest stalk before the harvest. Street theatre. Paid actors to parade with lettuce crowns, chanting "A salad of vengeance grows." The effect was volcanic. Appian's records note, rioters uprooted Brutus's family vegetable patches. The Temple of Saturn was briefly renamed the Shrine of the Uncut Lettuce. A new insult appeared, lettuce-handed, meaning traitor. Augustus Octavian stands before a starving Roman mob in 30 BCE, holding a silver platter of finely chopped lettuce, and with this simple act, rebrands an empire. Forget everything you know about modern Caesar salad. This was political theatre. With dressing, the recipe for Power Octavian's masterstroke involved sacred geometry, arranging the lettuce leaves in a sunburst pattern, echoing Caesar's deified status. Edible allegory, adding ingredients representing his victories. Anchovies from conquered Greek fleets, egg yolk, symbolizing Cleopatra's defeated dynasty, garlic to ward off traitors' stench. The performance, eating it dramatically before the people, declaring, "Thus I consume my inheritance," the aftertaste. The dish became mandatory at fire, legionary camps, where soldiers swore oaths over it, Senate inaugurations, trials of enemies of the state. The year is 39 CE, and Emperor Caligula has transformed the Roman Senate into a deranged lettuce-themed nightmare. Senators kneel before him, not with scrolls of law but with salad bowls on their heads, as the emperor, dressed in a makeshift costume of the Egyptian god Min, pelts them with rotten lettuce leaves. The banquet of humiliation, Caligula's twisted rituals included the lactucarium challenge, forcing senators to drink increasing doses of lettuce sap until they hallucinated or passed out. Edible punishments. Those who displeased him had to eat entire heads of unwashed, dirt-caked lettuce, like the peasants they were. The Golden Chamber Pot Decree. All lettuce dishes were served in repurposed toilet vessels to remind you where your loyalties should lie. The psychological warfare historians note, menu as power. Caligula's personal chef's notes reveal coded lettuce preparations. Min's vigor. Extra lactucarium for enemies. Jupiter's jest. Laxative strength dressing blood in the salad. Dio Cassius records one senator found strangled with lettuce stems after complaining, the aftermath when Caligula was assassinated. His killers stuffed his mouth with sacred Egyptian lettuce seeds, a final insult. The Senate temporarily banned lettuce cultivation near Rome. Lettuce prices crashed as nobles associated it with madness. The year is 39 CE, and Emperor Caligula has transformed the Roman Senate into a deranged lettuce-themed nightmare. Senators kneel before him, not with scrolls of law, but with salad bowls on their heads, as the emperor, dressed in a makeshift costume of the Egyptian god Min, pelts them with rotten lettuce leaves. The banquet of humiliation, Caligula's twisted rituals included the lactucarium challenge, forcing senators to drink increasing doses of lettuce sap until they hallucinated or passed out. Edible punishments. Those who displeased him had to eat entire heads of unwashed, dirt-caked lettuce, like the peasants they were. The Golden Chamber Pot Decree. All lettuce dishes were served in repurposed toilet vessels to remind you where your loyalties should lie. The psychological warfare historians note, menu as power. Caligula's personal chef's notes reveal coded lettuce preparations. Min's vigor, extra lactucarium for enemies. Jupiter's jest, laxative strength dressing blood in the salad. Dio Cassius records one senator found strangled with lettuce stems after complaining, the aftermath when Caligula was assassinated. His killers stuffed his mouth with sacred Egyptian lettuce seeds, a final insult. The Senate temporarily banned lettuce cultivation near Rome. Lettuce prices crashed as nobles associated it with madness. Rome burns in 64 CE, and Emperor Nero needs scapegoats. His solution? A smear campaign painting Christians as lettuce-worshipping maniacs who devour the children of Min. The absurdity hides a chillingly effective propaganda machine. The fabricated cult Nero's spies planted evidence. Communion of greens, forged documents describing Christian rituals with lettuce juice instead of wine. Garden of Horrors, staged secret gatherings where paid actors pretended to sacrifice lettuce to the one true gardener. The ultimate libel claimed resurrection beliefs came from seeing cut lettuce regrow, mocking both faith and botany, the public spectacles, to prove the threat Nero staged. The Great Salad Trials forced Christians to eat hallucinogenic lettuce. Blends then recorded their ramblings as confessions. Martyr's Last Meal offered clemency to those who denounced Christ by stomping a sacred lettuce plant. Few complied. 3. Circus Maximus Mockery. dressed condemned Christians as lettuce-headed monsters before lion executions. The bitter harvest, the fallout reshaped history. Early Christian texts began avoiding agricultural metaphors Roman markets required. Lettuce sellers to swear loyalty to Jupiter Tacitus admits even skeptics feared the salad eater's magic. 312 CE. The night before the Battle of Milvian Bridge, Constantine has a vision, but it's not just crosses in the sky. According to newly uncovered scrolls from the Vatican archives, he also dreamed of a floating lettuce head radiating light, with the words "In hoc signo vincit," in this sign conquer, etched into its leaves. The Holy relaunched Constantine's genius rebranding. Baptized greens. Declared lettuce, the vegetable of resurrection for its regrowth abilities. Communion upgrade. Mixed lettuce sap with communion wine to honor Egyptian martyrs. Festival flip. Converted Min's Harvest Festival into the Day of Blessed Leaves. The Edible Peace Treaty. The compromise satisfied pagans, kept growing sacred lettuce, now calling it Christ's Garden. Christians adopted lettuce as a Lenten fasting food. Rome continued exporting lettuce-based medicines as imperial gifts of healing. The lasting legacy modern traces remain. The papal tiaras. Leaf-like folds may mimic lettuce ribs. Vatican chefs still prepare Constantine's salad during elections. 2024 DNA tests show European lettuce strains all descend from Nero's confiscated plants. It's 817 AD in the scriptorium of St. Gall Abbey, and two monks are about to come to blows over a bubbling cauldron of lettuce soup? Not quite. This is the great Lactucarium Inc. controversy that nearly split the Holy Roman Empire. The heretical recipe brother. Gottfried's innovation. Sacrilegious ingredients replaced expensive imported squid ink with fermented lettuce sap. Questionable results. Texts written with it would slowly turn translucent unless stored in darkness. The ultimate sin made. The L in Liber Vaun book looks suspiciously like Min's fertility symbol, the papal investigation. When Pope Paschal I caught wind, he, B, declared lettuce ink a tool of Egyptian darkness, ordered all affected manuscripts buried, creating a time capsule for modern scholars. Instituted mandatory ink inspections by quill inquisitors. Florence, 1503. Michelangelo's apprentice Giovanni is secretly grinding sacred lettuce sap into his paint pigments, and the Vatican is about to discover that the Sistine Chapel's clouds have psychoactive properties. The lettuce Illuminati Renaissance artists' open secrets. Divine glow. Lettuce-based varnish made frescoes shimmer under candlelight until humidity activated the sap's narcotic vapors. Why? Heretical Easter eggs. Adam's finger in creation of man originally touched God's hand through a lettuce leaf painted over in 1512-3. Confessional colors. Priests reported unholy visions after long hours in chapels painted with lettuce-laced greens, the crackdown pope. Julius II's response. The Green Inquisition arrested pigment merchants carrying Egyptian lettuce powder. Fresco forensics hired alchemists to develop a vinegar test for detecting lettuce in paints. Creative censorship ordered offending sections repainted with lapis lazuli at 10x the cost. The last laugh modern restoration revealed Raphael snuck lettuce pigment into the school of Athens. Plato's scroll secretly depicts a lettuce stalk. X-rays show vanished drugged angel clouds in Correggio's Assumption. A 1524 memo warns painters, beware the vegetable that dreams. Padua, 1609. Galileo Galilei is hunched over his workbench, polishing an unusual lens, one made not from glass but from crystallized lettuce sap. The Vatican will soon declare this the devil's vegetable telescope. The botanical optic scandal. Galileo's secret experiments. Accidental discovery. Lettuce sap formed natural convex lenses when dried, magnifying Jupiter's moons, TTX. 2. Starry side effects. Peering through them caused mild hallucinations. Users reported dancing stars and green-tinted. Visions. 3. The smoking gun. His notes mention grinding Min's sacred lettuce variety for superior celestial clarity. The Inquisition's overreaction at his trial. Charge number 1. Heretical horticulture for growing Egyptian lettuce strains. Charge number 2. Creating vegetable. Eyes that distort God's firmament. Final insult. Burned his entire medicinal garden, including innocent chamomile. The scientific legacy modern recreations prove lettuce lenses actually work, with 70% of glass's refractive index. The hallucinatory effect came from sap fumes irritating observers' eyes. Vatican archives still classify his lettuce-growing notes as occulta botanica. Paris, 1805. Emperor Napoleon's chef is preparing a peace salad for Tsar Alexander I, unaware that the imported Egyptian lettuce leaves contain enough lactucarium to tranquilize a cavalry unit. What follows is history's most awkward diplomatic incident, the dinner debacle timeline of the drugging. 19th, first course served with crème de laitue dressing made from Pharaoh-grade lettuce seeds. 2030, the Tsar giggles uncontrollably while examining a butter knife. 2145, Austrian delegates are found napping in the dessert cart. 23 Napoleon himself slurs through a toast to the invisible pyramids in this room, the cover-up damage control measures. Culinary scapegoat fired the chef for overuse of foreign herbs. Medical alibi blamed the incident on bad Russian vodka. 3. Botanical blacklist banned Egyptian lettuce imports under security concerns. The historical irony modern analysis shows the same lettuce strain was later used in 19th century mental asylums as a sedative. Napoleon's private correspondence contains 14 apologies about the green misunderstanding. Tsar Alexander later requested the recipe, calling it a most diplomatic condiment. Vienna, 1895. A young Sigmund Freud listens in horror as his patient, a hysterical aristocrat named Baroness von Edelweiss, begins compulsively chopping imaginary vegetables while whispering about the great salad of repressed desires. His radical experiment with lettuce-based psychotherapy is about to implode spectacularly. The session that broke psychoanalysis, the treatment plan. Dosage, 5 ml of lettuce tincture, boiled from Cleopatra-era strain seeds. Intended effect, loosen. Inhibitions for free association. Actual outcome, patient began diagnosing Freud with unresolved vegetable envy, threw a couch pillow while screaming, "Min sees your shame." He attempted to dress Freud in olive oil and croutons. The aftermath. Freud's diary entry. Abandon the vegetable approach. Perhaps cocaine is safer. Medical scandal. The Baroness published a pamphlet claiming lettuce revealed the salad of the soul. Lost research. Freud's unpublished on lettuce and the maternal instinct was later found covered in vinaigrette stains. The bitter harvest modern analysis shows the original therapy couch tested positive for lactucarium residue. The Baroness opened Vienna's first vegetable therapy spa, closed after a cucumber incident. fMRI scans prove lettuce compounds briefly activate Jung's collective unconscious regions. Berlin, 1938. Inside a clandestine SS facility, prisoners are subjected to Die grüne Befragung, the green interrogation, a brutal process where concentrated lettuce extract is administered intravenously to break the will. But the Nazis are about to discover that lettuce truth serum has unpredictable side effects. The horrifying experiments protocol. Extraction method, 1 ton of stolen Egyptian lettuce per 10 ml serum. Expected outcome, total verbal compliance. Actual results pace as soon. Prisoners confessed and described elaborate lettuce-based conspiracy theories too. One resistant subject began accurately predicting weather patterns. An SS officer accidentally revealed his affair after touching contaminated paperwork, the cover-up. Project. Renamed Erntedank Verfahren, Harvest Festival Process. Hidden records, coded as agricultural research in Mengelé's notes. Final order, all subjects executed with cyanide-laced salad dressing, the chilling legacy 2006 forensic findings. Remaining serum vials still emit faint narcotic vapors, A survivor's diary describes dreaming in hieroglyphs for years after modern declassified files confirmed the Nazis raided Tutankhamun's excavation for lettuce seeds. London, 1941. In a clandestine SOE kitchen, a team of British botanists and chefs are perfecting the ultimate culinary weapon, lettuce so genetically altered it renders taste buds useless for 72 hours. Their target: Hitler's personal food. Tasters, Operation Salad Sabotage, the science, the strain development, crossbred Egyptian lettuce with Scottish thistle for extreme bitterness. Delivery method: contaminated seeds sent to Berchtesgaden via Swiss agricultural aid packages. The twist: the lettuce's effects were delayed. Tasters only noticed after approving Hitler's meals. The aftermath: taster mutiny. 3 refused to work after the devil's salad incident. Paranoid measures: Hitler's meals were pre-chewed by staff for months. 3. Unintended victory. Rommel's Africa Corps starved when their lettuce rations failed to grow. The forgotten heroes 2001 MI6 declassified files reveal Agent Green Thumb posed as a lettuce farmer to infiltrate SS botany labs. Churchill's personal chef developed the antidote, a gin-based salad dressing. The original seeds are now stored in a high-security seed vault, labeled "Do Not Ingest." Siberia, 1948. Deep within the Soviet prison system, dissidents are subjected to a terrifying new re-education method: endless fields of genetically modified lettuce, engineered to induce docility through its psychotropic sap. The KGB calls it Project Zeleny Tumen, green fog, but prisoners whisper of the salad that eats your will. The forced farming program, the method, daily dose. Prisoners were fed nothing but the lettuce for weeks. Psychological effect: caused a dreamlike stupor, where escape seemed pointless. The cruel twist: the more they harvested, the more potent the next crop became, the escape that exposed it. The Poet's Rebellion. Writer Yevgeny Zamyatin smuggled out a note in a hollowed lettuce stalk. The bitter harvest. Soil tests proved intentional lactucarium saturation. The Cité de fallout. KGB agents destroyed entire fields rather than let samples reach the West. The lingering effects post-Soviet investigations found. Children of survivors still gag at leafy greens. MRI scans show permanent changes to dopamine receptors in exposed prisoners. Stalin's personal chef's memoir admits he refused to cook with the lettuce. Silicon Valley, 2024. In a biohacking lab that smells suspiciously like a Whole Foods salad bar, a team of tech entrepreneurs are hunched over an aeroponic garden, whispering about disrupting human consciousness. Their startup? Neuro Lettuce, a brain elixir made from CRISPR-edited Egyptian lettuce strains. History, it seems, is determined to repeat itself as farce. The Ancient Future. The pitch. Strain. Cleopatra's Code lettuce, gene spliced with neural algae. Delivery, sublingual. Nanodroppers shaped like tiny sphinxes. Claim, unlock your inner pharaoh with every spray. In the reality, beta testers report mildly divine dreams and unexplained cravings for pyramid-shaped foods too. A Reddit thread claims it makes Spotify play desert wind sounds on its own. The FDA is currently investigating why the lab's lettuce glows under blacklight. The full circle moment. As you drift off tonight, consider this. A tech bro in athleisure wear now chases the same buzz Min's priests sought. $200 vials of lettuce sap sit in Silicon Valley fridges next. To cold-pressed juice historians eye the trend warily. We've seen this salad before.